in gentle sadness and silent tears, the pride of the class of 2020 in accepting their duty. I join the unheard steps across the stage and the shouts when the diploma is put in their hands. I join the bravery of the class of 2020 in understanding. Some gave their health, some gave their lives, some gave their possibility of kindness because of the selfishness of others.
Just a few powerful words. That's this powerful, spirited individual who's a citizen of Sway in the Morning. She's been on the show. I called her Queen Nikki Giovanni. Dedicated a poem to the class of 2020, and that includes all of us: poet, writer, commentator, activist, educator. She's power manifested in a human form, and she's back on the show with us to talk about Make Me Rain, Poems and Prose. It's out now. Give it up for the one and only Nikki Giovanni.
Woo!
Nikki!
Woo! A queen. A queen.
Nikki, how you doing, Miss Giovanni? How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Grand Risings. Hey, hey, listen. I slept well knowing you were coming on the show this morning.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
How have you been? I don't know. We had you on the show years ago, and we had such a great time. It was a great time, such a great conversation. How have you been?
Oh, it's been good. It's been good. I'm recommending, growing old, and I'm hoping that all of your people do, because everybody wants to be young, and that's a foolish thing. Okay. But I want to say the first thing here: vote. I want to tell the brothers out there, especially, vote, because I know that Donald Trump is trying to make them feel like they shouldn't, or make them feel like their voice doesn't matter. But as a woman, I know their voice matters because I go to bed with them. And when they ask me, I listen to them and I say yes. So I don't know why they listening to Donald Trump and they don't listen to me. Vote.
Yo. Bro. Good. The game, the wisdom.
Nikki Giovanni, it's a lot of it's just a lot of trickery going on about voting and the power of voting. And I find myself having all these conversations. And T.I. came on the show, artist out of Atlanta. You're familiar with T.I. came on the show and said, hey, man, if your vote wasn't important, why would they be trying to stop you from doing it? Why is this?
Absolutely.
Speak to that.
Absolutely.
I mean, these are tactics we've seen over the decades. Can you speak to that?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And there was a wonderful old lady. She's not that old, but a woman named Fannie Lou Hamer. And Fannie Lou Hamer organized Mississippi, and she organized the Freedom Mississippi Democratic Party. In 1964, went to Atlantic City, confronted Lyndon Johnson, because this was right after the death of Jack Kennedy. Confronted him and said, we should be seated, not these racists. And Lyndon tried to make it all right. And he said to her, well, why don't I give you 2 seats and we'll work it out next time? And she said, we didn't come here for no 2 seats. I've always remembered that. We didn't come here for no 2 seats. Got on the bus with her people, went back to Mississippi. When she crossed the state line, the troopers and all those people stopped that bus, pulled her off, and just beat her and beat her and beat her. And I have said, always, since that day, if there's any piece of me alive, take it to the polls. I'm going to vote. If my liver is just swivering just a little bit, take it to the poll. I'm going to vote. We have to vote. And it doesn't, I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for. Of course, I'm for Trump, I'm for Biden. I'm against Trump. But what's important is that we let them know we're not scared of them. We have crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge. We have sat down in counters. We have had 8th and 9th graders be attacked by water hoses. So I don't understand why right now some of the younger brothers are saying, well, I'm not going to vote. It doesn't matter. People have given up their lives. There are people right now who are my age who are having serious problems because a water hose, I don't know what you know about a water hose, but it's a serious thing because a water hose was turned on them so that we could vote. So you got no right to sit your butt at home. Get up and vote.
There it is. You got it. Nikki Giovanni, I'm gonna open up these phone lines, 888-742-3345. This isn't, we are all in interesting positions right now, where we could put out a lot of art and that can speak our emotions and bring to light, injustices, so on and so forth. And I want to ask you, if you can, talk about the Black Arts movement that we're seeing right now, and what lessons we could learn from this Black Arts movement.
No, thank you. There's a old song, and I love it so much that we are climbing Jacob's ladder. Every round goes higher and higher. And my generation, we fought segregation, and actually we won. We got rid of segregation. And your generation, the younger people, are now living in a non-segregated world, but it doesn't mean that it's non-racist. And so what the younger people are having to fight is your basic racism. And everybody, we're with them. And I love what the Black Arts, what the Black Lives Matter movement is doing, because we don't consider that. A lot of people don't want to call that art. But Black Lives Matter is art, and you see it all over the world. You can go any place in the world and you'll see BML, and I love that. You see it on the walls. People are drawing pictures. The murder of George Floyd went all the way around the world. I remember seeing in Perth, Australia, which is way, way away, Perth, Australia, people were marching with Black Lives Matter. And I think that's incredible. And I think that we, too, have to consider that a part of art. You're on the radio every day, and you're talking to people. You're making something. You are creating something. We are all doing the best that we can. I think it's so wonderful. So there's one kind of art that comes out of the 1920s, Harlem Renaissance. Yep. We came out of the 60s, and you guys are coming out again. I think it's wonderful.
There it is. Nikki Giovanni, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to open up these phone lines. She got a new project out.
Yes.
Talk about the project, Nikki.
I've been doing a lot of writing, which thank God I am, because with the COVID you have to stay in anyway. But my new book is called Make Me Rain. And someone asked me, well, why would you want to be rain? First of all, Make Me Rain is an old jazz. If you're a jazz fan, you know that it's an old jazz song. But you can't do anything without water, and people forget that. No matter what is going on, you have to have water. And I think it's so wonderful. I thought, well, if I could be anything, if Jesus called me and said, well, Nikki, what you want to be today? I would say I'd like to be rain, and I'd like to fall down. Not mean rain, just nice, gentle rain, fall down on somebody, and somebody to embrace it, and something will grow. And that's what I want this book to do. That's what I've enjoyed in writing this book. I've been enjoying watching my own mind grow, because you learn things. I haven't quit teaching yet. And people keep saying, well, aren't you retired? And I said, well, I don't want to retire, because I enjoy meeting the students. I teach 2 days a week. I enjoy meeting the students, and I enjoy learning what they are talking about. And how are you going to do that unless you share? So Make Me Rain is one of my, it's one of my favorites. And in some cases it's mean, because I really did just talk about what a fool Donald Trump is. And I thought, well, yeah, if you don't want to read that, don't buy the book. But I really like what I did with it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was reading through it like, I was engaged, and I some things I shouldn't have been laughing at, but I love your boldness and how unapologetic you are, and I just think that's how we should live our lives. And so I think it's a great read. I want to go to these phone lines and also allow let Heather and Tracy jump in. HB, you want to say anything to Miss Queen Giovanni?
Hi. Thank you so much, Miss Giovanni, for being back on the show with us. And I just wanted to thank you again, because the last time you were on the show, you just privately gave me some additional advice after we went off air. And you was like, it's important that we continue to sit down with the elders in our families and pull out the cameras and listen to their stories and record them and listen to them talk. And I never, ever forgot that. And so it's something that I just started doing with my grandmother. And my grandfather sometimes, when he feel like he's a little moody, but it's just been it's just been so good listening to them talk and telling stories. And they feel like, I don't know, it just felt like to me from the time that I've been doing it, it's their way of giving back as well. I mean, my grandmother just called me up last month and was like, "Yo, your great grandmother, my grandfather's mother, I have a pan, a cast iron pan of hers. I want to give it to you. Like, you've been talking about cooking so much, and also it's just these little things coming from sitting down these stories. And this, I took your advice, and it's been life changing. So this is the first time I've been able to personally thank you. So thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. I have my grandmother, like all the old people in that age, eggs, they did not put eggs in the kitchen, in the refrigerator. Eggs were kept out. And, if you keep eggs out, they'll last longer. And my grandmother had a basket that she kept, she's not here anymore, that she kept eggs in. And I have that basket. And it's those little things that matter. Yeah. I do. And I look at it some days, you're having a hard day because everybody does. And I look at that and I remember grandmother, and it's like, no, I'm going to take one more step. If she can do this, I can take one more step. Yep.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Tracy, you want to join in?
Yes, please. Queen Giovanni, thank you so much again for joining us. I appreciate you in all the ways. I wanted you to touch on what you said earlier about the youth believing that getting older is like the worst thing that could possibly happen, and you saying how that's silly and it couldn't be anything further than true, than the opposite. Can you speak on that? What is the beauty that comes with getting older, especially in hip hop that really heralds a younger age?
Well, and it's all right to be young. I'm not against young, but as you grow older, you get to see things in a very, very different way. And I have a poem in, I think in this book, and if not in this book, in the previous book, A Good Cry. And I remember my grandparents sitting out on the porch after dinner. I would wash the dishes. I lived with them. I would wash the dishes, and they would go sit on the porch. Grandmother smoked, but Grandpapa didn't. So grandmother would have a cigarette, and Grandpapa would sit, and they wouldn't be saying anything. And I was wondering, why are they sitting? Why don't they talk? And then I realized, now that I am of their age, that you find people that you care about, that you love, and you can say it. They know it. And I think that that's something you don't know until you get a little bit older. So I'm going to recommend it, because this generation, my granddaughter's generation, has committed more suicide than any other generation. They are the most, actually, of the younger generation. They've committed suicide. And you think, no, you're not allowed to do that. We have fought so long to get you here. We fought for 300 years for you to be free. Don't take that away. Don't let somebody convince you that there's something wrong with you. That what you have to do is you have to live. And I just think it's a wonderful thing to grow old, because as you grow older, you begin to see the beauty and the joy in old age, if I can say it like that. And yeah, there are going to be things, your back's going to hurt, or your knee's going to hurt, or things happen because you're an older person. But things happen when you're a younger person too. Your heart breaks because you can't get your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or you have a baby and your boyfriend said it's not mine. And so you have a lot of other things to deal with.
It ain't mine.
I think Nikki going back into her past, maybe. I don't know, maybe that happened. Nikki Giovanni is here, and there's a lot of folks on the phone line, but a couple things. I reached out to some poets, and I said, I have Nikki Giovanni on the show tomorrow, and these poets recently did something with All Deaf Poetry Jam. And I said, hey, would you like to ask a question? And if so, I'll present that question to Nikki. So the first poet was Jessica Caremore, powerful poet, and been doing this for years, and is so successful and incredible. And here's her question to you, Nikki Giovanni.
Peace, Sister Nikki Giovanni. This is poet Jessica Caremore, sending love and hugs from myself and my son in Detroit, Michigan. And I just wanted to ask you maybe something someone else hasn't, which is about your style, and not your style of poems, but your style of dress, and how you dress for the poem, literally. The times I've seen you over the years, you are always fly as hell. And so from your shoes to your jackets to your tattoos. And I don't know if there's more than one, but the one you have that I know of is so gangster. And so just want to talk about style and, how that plays a role in how you've shown up all these years representing the way you have in such a beautiful way, head to toe, along with your incredible work as a writer.
Oh, well, thank you. I only have one tattoo, and it is Thug Life. And I got that because I wanted Afeni to know that when Tupac died, I just wanted to try to find a way to let Afeni know that she was not alone in her grief. And so I got this only tattoo I have. But my mother was a shoe freak. And so I ended up like my mother. I do have a lot. I don't have many pairs of shoes, but the ones I have are pretty fly, and that is the truth. And I didn't notice that I was doing that until people said, I really like those green shoes you had. And I hadn't thought about it. I just put them on and going about my business. I try to dress so that people will know I care. I don't want to walk out on stage, sloppy. I'm a professional, and I want the people who are coming to hear me and to be a part of what I'm doing, my reading. I want them to know that I respect them, and I want to look like that. So, and I wear a tie a lot. I wear ties a lot, and I wear ties because I really like them. And I've had friends who had ties, and so I put a tie on, I put a shirt on. I don't know. Half the time I don't know why I do what I do. But I can tell you the shoes I can tell you about because I'm a bit of a shoe freak.
There it is. That's a great question too.
Yes.
That's a great question. I'm going to go to the phone lines right now. Justin is from Cleveland. Grand Risings, Justin.
Hey, Justin.
Justin, are you there?
Hey, this is Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, how you doing, Jeff? Go for it. What's your question?
I'm good. No, first of all, I want to thank Sister Nikki for really emphasizing the ability to get out and vote and the need to do it. I did it. I made sure that my grandmother and mother, my 93-year-old grandmother, could get out. But Sister Nikki, I just want to take a moment because I'll never have this opportunity again. As a 24-year-old man, I got locked up. I went to prison in Ohio at Mansfield Correctional Prison. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, I discovered poetry and writing and things about my blackness I had never known growing up. And I want to thank you for getting me through that time. Mm-hmm. Your words helped me.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a show, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And I don't do Fox because I don't like Fox because of Trump. But I was invited to do it. And I said, what are we doing? They said, well, we want to talk about should prisoners vote. And I knew that if I didn't go on the show, nobody would be on the show saying, yeah, prisoners should vote. I spent most of my life in Cincinnati, so I know Mansfield. And I write a young man, he's not young anymore, he's my age. We fight about that. He's 3 years younger than I am. And he's from Chicago, and he was in a gang. And that's a sad story. And he was a part of a group that shot and murdered 8 people. And he wrote me a letter, now 30-something years ago. All of this is, to me, sad, but I can't undo it. So I wrote him back, and then he wrote me back. And we've been writing now for 32 years. He's like a brother because nobody in his family knows him. Nobody, his children are grown. His grandchildren don't know him. And so I'm like a sister, and I'm happy to be like a sister. So I appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you so much, my sister. You.
Hello?
Wait, hold on. What happened to him? Uh-oh. Jeff, say that again. Say that. Go for it. What you were saying in closing?
I know it's very rare that you get to hear from some of us, and I know you know how expansive your work has reached out all over the world, but I just wanted you to know that there are nights when you sit inside that cell that you wonder what would you possibly want to wake up for the next day. And your poetry was one of the reasons I got up every day. It was one of the reasons that I grew. And instead of rotting in there like they intended, my prosecutor looked at me the day he sent me to prison and told me, I hope you die in prison.
Oh, my God.
So I want you to know I did not die in prison. I actually grew just like a rose through concrete, as Tupac would say. And I rose up, and I now own a rental property business.
Yes.
And I own my own home.
Yes.
And I voted.
God bless you, brother.
Thank you
God bless
so
you.
much for
God
what
bless
you
you,
do.
brother. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you brought tears to my eyes just now, brother. Thank you for speaking to not just us being here on this radio, Justin, but just to a lot of people's spirit today. You just that's a testimony right there, brother.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Hey,
Right.
Is it Jeff or what is it? Say your name.
It's Jeff. It's Jeff, actually.
Jeff.
And to any brother listening, brother or sister listening, let me be clear. Anyone who has been down, who has been in the belly of that beast, when you come home, because you know more about it than anyone else, you have an obligation to make sure that you reach a limit where no one thought you could go and then break through it. And you have an obligation to reach back and give opportunities to those who you know will never get them unless you help them get them.
There you go, man. Jeff, we appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. You're a citizen. Make sure you get her. Make sure you get Nikki's new project too. Okay.
I wouldn't miss it for anything in the world.
There you go,
Wow.
my man. You're a citizen, bro.
Super citizen of Sway in the Morning, Jeff.
That's incredible, Nikki. You got a few more minutes with us? Can you hang out a little bit?
Certainly.
Okay, great. I got another poet who goes by the name of Black Ice. You know Black Ice, iconic in our generation, of course, Def Poetry Jam alumni, but he's been doing work all over the world. He's over in the Netherlands now with his beautiful family. Yeah, he's been living there for a while with with his beautiful family. He had a question he wanted to ask of you, and he sent it in. Here it is, Black Ice.
Greetings, Miss Giovanni. My name is Black Ice. I'm honored to be able to ask you anything. And what I want to know is, have you ever struggled with your own greatness? And if so, how did you find a way back to you?
Oh, that's really interesting, and thank you. But I'm not great. All I have to give to the world is words, and so I use my words because that's what my grandmother, and I love my grandmother so much. All she had was words, and she used her words. She was part of the civil rights movement, but she used her words. And what grandmother taught me was use what you have. And so I can't sing, I can't dance, I'm not pretty, I'm just none of that stuff, but I can talk. And so that's what I do. And I'm happy to do that. I never will lose myself as long as I can talk. And when I can no longer talk, I will still be able to think. So I'm going to always be sane because I like myself. It's just that simple. I'm not going to let somebody else tell me anything about who I am because I know who I am. I'm the girl with the words.
Ooh. Wow.
There you go.
Miss Giovanni, Sway can't sing neither, but we got to listen to him sing every day. That don't stop him from singing.
You know what? You know what she calls, what she say, I can't sing. Some people think my voice is benevolent, Queen Giovanni. They don't mind when I sing. I can't be taking that from Heather right now. K-Love, I'm going to take another caller real quick, and and let's just see. We got Roland from Sacramento. Roland, Grand Rising.
Roland.
Yo.
Good morning. This is Roland from Sacramento.
Roland, my brother. There you
up
go.
another name. Roland.
My bad. Roland. Go ahead. Go,
yes,
brother.
Yes, sir. Hey, blessings to you. First and foremost, I want to honor the Queen, Ms. Giovanni. And I just want to say, thank you for all of the power in the words and the way that you have allowed God to use you over the years. I too was incarcerated for 16 years, and I've been blessed to come home and rejoin my family and start a business. And I was inspired by the likes of yourself, Anthony Shakur, Asada Shakur, Angela Davis, through the years, just kind of educating myself on who we are and who I am in this world. And again, I want to thank you for that. On a political note, you all went through so much. Your generation went through so much that a lot of times it feels like my generation has taken that for granted. And so what I would like to ask you is your thoughts on the African Americans of today that actually have a voice, even as recent as Ice Cube, with his soft endorsement of sorts, or supporting on any level Donald Trump. What do you think about how powerful black voices are used today, and what direction do you think we're going in right now from your perspective?
I didn't know Ice Cube had done that, but
hold up. We got to clear that up. He did not endorse Donald Trump. What he did is he came up with a financial plan that he offered to both political parties. He offered it to both political parties. The Democrats said, we look at it, we see it, we'll deal with it after the election. The Republicans said, oh, word, we'll sit down and talk to you now. And then they took that opportunity to say that they sat down and talked with Ice Cube and made it feel like he endorsed them, which got a lot of backlash because some folks feel like you shouldn't be talking to them anyway. And then other folks feel like, well, you got to have these conversations. So just to put some context on what he's saying, that's what happened.
Oh, no, thank you, because I wasn't aware of that. And I sincerely think that Kanye West should be hospitalized, because I think he's crazy. I think that he has let all of that go to him. We know that Herschel Walker doesn't have any good sense, so you see him standing on stage there with Donald Trump. You understand that. I think that
I love her.
when I think of your generation, of the younger generation, though, and when I think of Black Lives Matter, and when I see the youngsters in the street, I look at Portland, Oregon, which is very close to you, and they've been fighting now for over 100 days. I think that the younger generation is doing what it should do. And I think that our job as the older generation is to be supportive, and that's what we're trying to do. And thank you for clearing up Ice Cube, because it was hard to think that Cube would do that, but people do things. So,
yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna let it slide based on the fact that I grew up as you did. I'm sure we pretty much idolized Ice Cube, but even allowing them to use his name, and the way he threw around the term $500 million, and watching and finding out that they actually have not put any parts of his plan in the Donald Trump plan is at minimum. I feel like he allowed himself to be used.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I think that's
that doesn't belong to him.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear up he didn't endorse him, but the other everything else, that's all open for conversation.
Well, I think he's realizing that on his own, Roland. Like, he came out and spoke out against a picture that Eric Trump posted about him that was an altered picture. So this is why he went so hard on that picture, because he realized what that campaign was trying to do. He realizes it now.
And he hasn't endorsed either side, Miss Queen Giovanni, just to be clear, and he said that clearly. But I think Roland asked a very valid and great question, so I appreciate you, brother. You're a citizen, man.
Sway in the morning.
Absolutely. Blessings. I got one more question. This is from K-Love, the poet, and I just wanted to make sure that these poets that are here today
putting
and have
been
putting in that work get some light, and this is her question.
Peace and blessings. My name is K-Love, the poet. I am a poet here in Chicago, also a mentor. Much
Chicago.
Love, much respect, much honor due to Miss Nikki Giovanni. Ironically enough, I just had one of my young mentees, a 10-year-old, do a remix of the Ego Tripping poem where she inserted her own little words into certain spaces in the poem. It would be so nice to know, what was your intent with Ego Tripping? What, if anything, would you like for young readers or younger poets who get a chance to hear the poem to grasp from it? And what was the motivation behind it?
Oh, yeah. The motivation was simply that if you're going to start a world, there's a poem by James Weldon Johnson, and it says, and God stepped out on space and he looked around and he said, I'm lonely, I'll make me a world. But when I was thinking about that, I said, well, if I was in space and I was God, what would I create? Well, I would create a black woman. And so that's exactly what I was doing. I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Nile. And I just like the idea that if you're going to build a world, the first thing you need is a black woman. That's exactly what I was trying to say. And everything that happens after that is going to happen because of what she's done. So I love it, and I'm glad that your mentee enjoys the poem, and it's a fun poem. I enjoy the poem. When I wrote the poem, I had no idea it would touch as many people, but I thought about it, and I thought, well, what are we going? If we were building a world, what would we need? And what we would need is, of course, the black woman. No question about that.
There it is. Okay, man, I want to give you a round of applause right there. And then with that said, when we, I'm from the Bay Area, and maybe about, I don't even know how many years ago, Kamala Harris, as she was still working as an attorney, presented me with an award for community service. And I flew out to the Bay, and they did this big presentation, and I was just so shocked and just humbled by the experience. And I've followed her ever since, and just looking at where she is now and what this really means from a historical perspective, her being a VP, a vice president, running for vice president of the United States of America, the possibility, you never know if her ticket wins, becoming the actual acting president is always a possibility too with these things. That's why we have a vice president. I remember being on the road and you and I and the team, we talked about President Obama and his role and the things he was doing, and some things you weren't necessarily happy with at that time. But I remember being on the road with him as a reporter, as a correspondent, and witnessing all the racial slurs, the bigotry. It was so horrible. The names they were calling this man, and I'm standing right next to him. People were spitting, throwing things, and he was running to become their president. Right. In these times, I can only imagine what Kamala Harris is dealing with right now. What words would you want to give to her in a historical context and the role that she's walking into, and what it represents and what it means for black women and women in general and this country in general? What words would you give to her?
There is a wonderful poet, and I hope you know him, named Kwame Dawes. And Kwame talked about lynching. It's a beautiful, if you can call a poem about lynching beautiful. And he talked about the fact that you have to cut and he was dealing with from a male point of view, you have to cut your husband or your son or your brother down from a tree and wipe the spit off of him. Now, Senator Harris, I hope, is not being spat upon, but I know that my generation was. And so I also know that we all do what we have to do. We are not afraid of what these people call us. We are not afraid of their cowardness, because it's nothing but a whole bunch of white boys scared that their time is up. And their time is up. If they got a clock, they can see that their time is up. They are finished. And so we are beginning to step in. And so I'm proud of Kamala. I am a Delta. She is, of course, a member of Alpha, Kappa Alpha. That's our mother sorority. And I'm very proud that the Divine Nine and all of them are coming through, so that they are voting and getting out, and they're getting people out. I started this earlier with talking with you. It's so important to vote. Your voice is so important. And, you just got to get out and vote. And you can't let other people tell you it doesn't matter, because as someone else said, if it didn't matter, why are they trying to stop you from doing it?
There you go.
Yeah.
Anytime, you don't even have to have a book coming out. You want to come on this show, we would love to have you, Queen Giovanni. We would love to have you. It doesn't matter. You want to talk about a new recipe? Hey, man, come up on the show and talk about it. We could do it. We have that. We have that ability, and I want to thank you for being on the show again. Your voice is so important to us as a country. Your voice is so important, and I want to encourage all of our listeners to make sure you pick up her new project, Make Me Rain, by Nikki Giovanni. Queen, please and don't forget to vote. Have an amazing day, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Give it up. Nikki Giovanni. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless. Wow. Come on. Y'all want to take a second to let that breathe?
Let's do it. Out of reverence.
Take a second to let that breathe. We're going to do political news with Mike Muse up next. Sway in the morning.